Alright, this is David with entry number 200. Sorry about the chair. 200, I'll sit up straight. 299. So it looks like tomorrow will be the epic number 300, which should be exciting, shouldn't it? Good day today. Took it easy, as you might expect. Today was Sunday, by the way. One thing I didn't get done, which I wanted to do, was to get coffee. So I've been cold brewing my coffee lately, and cold brew is essentially, so if you think of brewing process of coffee, typically you use hot water, and cold brew you just use cold water. That's really the only difference. The reason you use hot water typically is because the heat extracts the solids a lot easier than cold water. And so when you do cold brew, you generally have a much elongated brew time. So whereas a hot cup of coffee might take 3 or 4 minutes, 5 minutes max, a cold brew could take 48, 24, 48, and even 72 hours. I don't go crazy. 72 hours seems like overkill, but I do 48, so it's still pretty long. The difference between cold brew and hot brewed coffee is, one, it's cold, obviously, but you can make it hot by adding hot water. Two, it's usually very concentrated. Three, because the heat doesn't kill it because it's not alive, but it destroys some of the compounds within the coffee, mainly caffeine. So you get a much stronger cup resulting from cold brew. You also get no acidity, no bitterness usually, because the coffee isn't being touched by hot water, it's just cold water. So what you're getting, you usually get a very, very clean cup of coffee. I'm just going to turn for no reason. And the way I'm doing it is well, let me step back just a second again. Generally in Asia, or in East Asia, in Korea and Japan, when you talk about cold brew coffee, you're getting coffee that's been drip drop onto grounds, and then that comes down into a decanter. That way is fine, but it's actually faster than the way I do it, but it is ornate and it requires a lot of precision equipment that I don't want to buy. And yeah, I think it's a little wasteful because you have to use a lot of coffee. The way I do it, you still have to use a lot of coffee, but I feel like it makes it's easier and it creates a better cup. I'm going to lean back a little bit. Basically, what I do is I take a stock bag. Luckily in Asia, they're really into making seafood stocks, or stocks in general. So they sell these really fine mesh bags that you're supposed to put your ingredients in, and then you just boil it like tea. So I buy those, and I put coffee in them, and luckily they're made out of like a nylon material, so they don't add any flavor. And because I'm not using hot water, I'm not worried about like plastic leaching into the water, so that's not that big of a deal. So I just use that. I coarsely grind the coffee into these bags, tie it off, and then put ice in it and cover it with water and let it sit at room temperature for 5 hours, and then I'll put it in the refrigerator for 48, and for a total of 48 hours. Give or take a few hours. But then I just take the bag out of the water, and then I kind of gently squeeze the bag to get any excess coffee inside out, and then I'll just double strain. I bought these little filters that go over my pitcher, and then I'll just double strain it through into my pitcher. And so the whole process is really, really easy. Like, the most work is grinding the coffee by hand, and it's really easy, and it costs like nothing because these little filters are available at Daiso, which is like a Dollar Tree in Korea, and in Japan, and yeah, so it cost me like nothing, and I use my good coffee that I get at my little cheapo place. That is, it's cheapo because it's inexpensive, not because it's bad quality, and it's really awesome coffee. Like, you can get a lot of subtle flavors that you can't get or you can get, but it's much easier to get the subtlety of the coffee when you cold brew. And so, like, if I'm using African coffee, you can really taste the kind of what's called terroir in the coffee, and it's like the flavor of the earth. And South American and Indonesian, and it all has a very specific kind of flavor profile, and even like regional within countries has very distinct flavors. So it's really cool to really experience that, because I could do it with the hot brewed stuff, but this cold brew is just amazing. And I also today I picked up some of this fancy organic Korean milk, and I'm pretty excited because normally when I drink hot coffee I'll never put anything in it, and generally, like, when I drink the cold coffee I'll take one sip with just plain, just to experience it, but it really makes it really nice and really like twice as pleasurable when you get a little bit of milk in there. And then I'll fill my cup like all the way with ice, but then put the coffee in up to like 80%, 85%, and I'll just put a little splash of milk in, and it is really, really, really good. So this was a coffee entry, so I guess that's that. Next weekend I'm hoping to go back to Seoul. I probably will just do another day trip, and it should be good. We need to see a couple friends before they leave Korea, because it just dawned on me that they only have like 3 weeks left, or 4 weeks left. So yeah, it's time to like get butts in gear here. My work week should be fine. On Wednesday I don't have to teach, but I am going to accompany the kids to some kind of field trip thing they're doing. So I think it's at an ice rink, ice skating. So that should be good, at least cool. So thanks for watching. This has been entry number 299, and I'll talk with you tomorrow with the epic